On a quiet night, when the village was asleep under a soft silver moon, something strange fell from the sky. It was not a star and not a plane. It was a tiny glowing object, moving fast and silent, like a secret the world was not ready to hear. It crashed gently at the edge of a farmer's field, hidden behind tall wild grass. Where no one could see it from the road, inside the small broken craft was a tiny alien. Girl, she was no bigger than a 5-year-old human child. Her skin glowed with a pale blue light. Her eyes were large and deep, like 2 dark lakes under the stars. She was weak, shaking, and scared. Her world felt broken. But more than fear, something else filled her mind. Pain. Human pain. She could feel it everywhere. From the animals in the forest, from the lonely old man in the nearby house, from the sick children in the village, from the tired mothers and fathers who had lost hope. She could feel their suffering as if it was her own. The little alien held her head and cried silently. On her planet, feeling emotions was a rare gift. But here on Earth, the emotions were too loud. Sadness was heavy. Anger burned like fire. Fear was cold and sharp. And pain. Pain was everywhere. Nearby, an old man named Hamid was still awake in his small wooden house. He was a simple farmer who lived alone since his wife had passed away and his children had moved to the city. Tonight, something did not feel right to him. His heart felt heavy for no clear reason. Then he heard a soft sound, like a distant cry carried by the wind. He walked outside with his old lantern, its weak light cutting the darkness. The night air was still, strange, too still. Then he saw the broken craft glowing faintly among the grass, and beside it was her, the tiny alien girl curled on the ground, shivering. Hamid's heart stopped for a moment. Fear, surprise, and confusion rushed through his mind. "Am I dreaming?" he whispered. "Or is this real?" But when he stepped closer, he saw the pain in her eyes. It was the kind of pain no dream could ever copy, the pain of someone truly suffering at that moment. The alien girl felt his presence. More than that, she felt his loneliness, his grief, the memories of his wife, the silent nights, the long years of being alone. She looked up at him. Her glowing eyes met his tired ones. Suddenly, he felt something strange in his chest, a warm wave of understanding, like someone had touched his soul. "It's okay," he said gently, though he did not even know what she was. "You're not alone anymore." The tiny alien could not speak human language, but she understood feelings perfectly. Slowly, she reached her small hand toward him. When her hand touched his rough, old fingers, a deep connection formed. She felt every hurt he had ever carried, and Hamid felt something too, a kind of love, innocent and pure, that he had not felt since his children were small. He carefully picked her up in his arms. She was light like a feather, but warm like a living heart. She seemed fragile, like a small glowing star that could disappear at any moment. Inside his house, he wrapped her in a soft cloth and placed her near the fireplace. She sat quietly, watching the flames, still feeling the waves of human pain coming through the air like invisible signals. But now, she also felt something new. Safety, outside the house. The world did not know yet that everything was about to change. That night, emergency sirens echoed in the far distance of the city. A child cried somewhere. A young soldier somewhere far away felt fear. A mother prayed for her sick son. And the tiny alien girl felt it all. But she did not cry anymore. Instead, she whispered in her own soft, alien voice, a language made of light and emotion, a promise to the earth she had just arrived on. "I will carry your pain, and I will change it." And somewhere in the stars, something heard her, something powerful, something dangerous. Something was now searching for her. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the quiet village. painting the sky in soft orange and pink colors. Birds began to sing, unaware that something impossible had already arrived on Earth, inside the small wooden house. Hamid sat beside the fireplace, watching the tiny alien girl as she slept. He had not slept all night. Every time he tried to close his eyes, he heard her soft breathing and saw her gentle, glowing light. Part of him was still afraid. Another part of him felt a strange peace he had not known in years. "She's just a child," he whispered to himself. "Whatever she is, she's just a child in pain." The tiny alien opened her eyes slowly. Their deep, dark color changed slightly in the morning light, shining with a soft silver glow. The first thing she felt was warmth from the fire, from the blanket, and from the kind heart of the old man. But with that warmth also came something else, pain, the moment she woke up. Her connection to human emotions returned like a storm. She felt it from miles away, sweeping over her like heavy waves. She gasped and held her head. Her small body trembled violently. Hamid rushed to her side. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" he asked, even though he knew she could not understand words. But she understood the worry in his heart. She felt his fear for her. That feeling helped her breathe again. Then something incredible happened. A vision flashed through her mind. She saw a young boy in the village, Ahmed, the woodcutter's son, lying on the ground near the river, his leg badly injured under a fallen tree branch. She felt his sharp, burning pain, his fear, his fading hope. She saw his tears before he even cried. The tiny alien sat up suddenly. She pointed toward the door. Hamid looked at her in confusion. "What is it? Where do you want to go?" She stood on her weak legs, walked to the door, and looked back at him. Her eyes glowed brighter now, not with fear, but with urgency. Someone was in danger. Without thinking, Hamid grabbed his walking stick and opened the door. He followed her as she ran across the field faster than any child he had ever seen. Her small feet barely touched the ground, and yet she did not fall. It was as if the earth itself was guiding her. They reached the riverbank a few minutes later. There lay the boy, trapped under the heavy branch, crying for help. "Help me, please," he whispered. Am's heart pounded. He hurried to him and tried to lift the branch, but it was too heavy for his old arms. The tiny alien stepped forward. She placed both her hands on the thick wood. Her body began to glow brighter and brighter until the air around them vibrated. Slowly, the heavy branch started to rise, as if invisible hands were lifting it. Hamid's eyes widened in shock. The branch moved away and dropped to the side. The boy was free. He stared at the glowing girl in front of him, speechless. "Are you an angel?" The alien girl looked at his injured leg. She knelt and gently placed her hand on it. A warm blue light spread from her palm, sinking into the broken skin, into the injured muscle, into the shattered pain. The boy's cries stopped. Slowly, he looked up in disbelief. "It doesn't hurt anymore," he said. "It doesn't hurt." Within seconds, the deep cut closed. The swelling faded. The broken pain simply vanished. Hamid covered his mouth with his hand, tears filling his eyes. "She healed him," he whispered. "She healed him." But while this miracle was happening, something far away in the sky began to move. High above the clouds, a dark, silent alien ship changed its course. Strange symbols on its screen glowed red. Target located. Subject, empath unit. Extremely rare mission. Retrieve or destroy inside that distant ship. Cold eyes watched the glowing energy spike created by the tiny alien. "She is using her power," a harsh voice said. "We have found her." Back on Earth, the tiny alien did not know the danger yet. She only felt relief. For the first time, the pain she sensed from a human had disappeared instead of growing stronger. She smiled a small, beautiful, innocent smile. The boy held her hand. "Thank you," he said softly. The moment she touched his hand, she saw another vision. She saw cities burning. She saw people running. She saw herself standing between humans and a dark army from the stars. She saw Hamid lying on the ground, reaching toward her, and she heard a powerful voice in her mind. "Your power will either save this world or destroy it." She pulled her hand away and staggered back in fear. Hamid caught her before she fell. "What is it, little one? What did you see?" She could not answer. But high above them, the clouds slowly began to turn darker, forming the shape of something not from this world, and the first sign of the coming invasion appeared in the sky. The sky changed before anyone else noticed. What had been a soft blue suddenly turned dull and gray, like the world was holding its breath. A strange hush fell over the village. Even the birds stopped singing. The wind became cold, though it was still morning. Hamid looked up, squinting at the clouds. They were no longer normal clouds. They twisted and folded in strange shapes, moving in circles around one dark spot in the center. The tiny alien girl stiffened in his arms. Fear rushed through her again, not her own fear, but something worse. A powerful, cold presence. A mind that held no love, no emotion, no mercy. She knew this feeling, her own people, but not like her. These were hunters. She jumped down from Hamid's arms and stepped back. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever before. An invisible energy hummed around her small body. "It's okay, little one," Hamid said, though he himself felt fear crawling up his spine. "You're safe here." But she knew. They had found her suddenly. A loud, deep sound echoed across the sky, like thunder mixed with metal. The villagers came out of their houses, looking up in terror. Then they saw it. A massive dark ship slowly appeared from the clouds, shaped like a sharp, moving shadow. It had no windows, no sound engine, only strange red symbols glowing along its body. People began to scream. What is that? Is it the end of the world? Run! But no one could run. They were frozen in fear. The alien girl fell to her knees. When she touched the ground, her senses exploded again. She could feel everyone's pain, fear, panic, and shock all at once. It was like thousands of broken hearts, crying inside her small chest. The pain was unbearable. She screamed for the first time, not in words, but in pure emotion. The earth beneath her trembled slightly. A weak blue wave spread in a circle around her, knocking dust into the air. Inside the dark alien ship, alarms suddenly flashed. Energy surge detected from empath unit. One of the hunters said, "A child should not have this much power." Another replied, "She must be stabilized or eliminated." On Earth, Hamid rushed to her side again and held her tightly, though the ground shook around them. "Breathe. Breathe, child," he whispered. "You are not alone. I am here." When she felt his heartbeat, his simple love and protection, something inside her became calmer. His kindness acted like an anchor in the storm of emotions she felt. She looked up into the sky. For the first time, instead of fear, she felt something else. Anger. She had been created to feel pain, but she had never been allowed to fight it before. On her world, she was used only as a tool to sense suffering, to warn of disasters, to find wounded beings, to be controlled. But Earth was different. Humans were broken, yes. They were full of pain, yes. But they were also full of love, full of sacrifice, full of hope, and she did not want to let that disappear. The tiny alien girl slowly raised her hand toward the dark ship. The people watched in silence. The small glowing figure against the shadow of the huge alien craft looked impossible, unreal. Her hand began to shine. Thin lines of light spread from her fingers, traveling up into the sky like threads weaving into a net. The dark ship shook slightly. "What is she doing?" A hunter growled. "She is building a shield." Another said in disbelief. "But that power belongs to the elders." "How does she know this?" A glowing dome started forming above the village, faint at first, then stronger, brighter, covering the houses, the people, the animals, and the fields. A protective barrier. The dark alien ship fired a beam of red energy straight down toward the village, but the beam hit the glowing shield instead. The sky cracked with sound. The shield held. Gasps of shock came from the villagers. Some fell to their knees in disbelief. "She saved us," a woman cried. "That little girl saved us." Hamid felt tears roll down his cheeks. He looked at her with trembling hands. "You are not a monster," he said gently. "You are a blessing." But the tiny alien girl's body began to weaken. The shield was draining her. It was raw, uncontrolled power. Her small form trembled as fine cracks of light appeared across her skin. Inside the ship, the hunter's voice turned cold. "She cannot maintain that shield for long. Prepare extraction." A second, smaller craft began lowering from the main ship, aiming directly for her position. The villagers screamed. "They are coming for her." Hamed held the girl tightly as the small craft came closer, blowing dust and rocks around with its force. And just before it could reach her, the entire world around her went silent. No sound, no wind, no heartbeat. She heard only one voice now, the mysterious voice from the vision before. "This is the moment you must choose. Your life or theirs." Her glowing eyes slowly opened, and she made her choice. The world was silent, but inside the tiny alien girl, a storm was raging. In that frozen moment between time and sound, she could no longer hear the villagers, the wind, or even Hamid's heartbeat. All she could feel was the weight of a terrible choice pressing down on her small chest. Her life, or theirs. The voice echoed again in her mind, calm but powerful. "Empath unit, you were never meant to protect a world. You were created only to observe suffering, not carry it. If you continue, your body will break. Your mind will disappear. You will be nothing." Visions flashed before her eyes. She saw herself captured inside a glass prison. She saw her body taken apart, her powers used like a machine. She saw cities falling, people screaming, oceans burning, and the hunters walking freely across Earth. Then, she saw another vision. She saw children laughing in a field. She saw a mother hugging her son. She saw Hamid sitting on his porch, smiling peacefully as the sun set. She saw humanity still alive, still hoping. Still dreaming. The tiny alien girl's face softened. She knew what mattered more. Slowly, the silence broke. Sound rushed back into the world all at once. Screams, wind, the roaring of the alien craft. And Hamid calling her name, even though he didn't know how to speak it. The smaller alien craft hovered above them, a terrifying metal shadow. A cold beam of blue light shot down, wrapping around her body like invisible hands. She was being pulled upward. Hamid held on to her with all his strength. "No, she's just a child," he cried. "You can't take her." His old body dragged across the ground as she rose higher. His fingers slipped slowly from her small hand. The moment their hands separated, a deep wave of agony tore through her heart. She felt his pain. She felt the pain of every villager, every human looking up at her, helpless and afraid. And something inside her cracked open. A blinding light exploded out of her tiny body. The beam pulling her upward shattered into sparks. The shock wave knocked the smaller craft backward like a toy. Even the massive ship in the clouds shook violently. The villagers covered their eyes as the sky burned bright white for a moment. When the light faded, she was no longer floating. She stood on the ground. Again, but she had changed. Her small skin now glowed with patterns of moving light, like tiny stars flowing across her body. Her eyes were no longer just deep and dark. They shone like galaxies, filled with ancient knowledge and endless emotion. She was still a child, but she now carried the power of something far greater inside the alien ship. Panic spread for the first time. That reaction is impossible. Her energy level is surpassing elder limits. She is becoming something new, something unknown. The hunters realized they were no longer dealing with a weak, frightened runt. They were facing a being chosen by a planet. The tiny alien girl looked up at the ship. She did not feel fear anymore. She felt purpose. She stepped forward. Each step made the earth hum with energy. Images from humanity's history flowed through her mind in an instant. Wars, love, sacrifices, pain, courage. Humans had suffered more than most species, yet they still dreamed of peace, and she wanted to protect that dream. She stretched both her hands toward the sky. A massive pulse of blue-white light shot upward, striking the giant alien ship directly in its center. The ship's surface cracked open like broken glass. Red symbols flickered and died. The sky shook with the sound of alien metal tearing apart. The villagers watched in complete silence. The ship that had terrified them all was now breaking, but deep in space, even darker eyes were watching this moment. A being far more powerful than the hunters, far more dangerous than anything that had come before. The commander, he stepped forward in his own massive control chamber, staring at the energy readings in shock and anger. That planet has activated an empath guardian, he said slowly. A forbidden evolution. His eyes narrowed. Prepare the full fleet. Back on Earth, the huge alien ship began to retreat, disappearing into the clouds, scarred and wounded. The sky slowly returned to normal. The villagers began to realize they were still alive. Cheers, sobs, and prayers filled the air. People fell to their knees. Others hugged each other. She saved us. That little girl saved our world. Hamid walked slowly toward her. His face was wet with tears. He was afraid to even touch her now. You're still you? He asked softly. The tiny alien girl turned around. The light in her body became softer, gentler again. Her appearance returned to normal, like a small, innocent child. She looked at him, and for the very first time in human language, she spoke in a tiny, trembling voice. I felt your pain, so I chose your world. Hamid fell to his knees, overwhelmed. You are my child now, he whispered. No matter where you came from, but far away in the stars. A massive armada of ships had already started moving toward Earth. This was no longer just a visit. It was the beginning of a war, and the smallest being on Earth was now its greatest hope. For a short moment, the world felt calm again. The dark alien ship had vanished. The sky returned to its soft blue color. The wind moved gently across the fields. People slowly came out of hiding, looking around in disbelief, touching the ground as if to make sure Earth was still real. But inside the tiny alien girl, there was no peace. The silence after the attack felt heavy, like the quiet before a massive storm. She could still feel them, far, far away in space. Thousands. No, millions of cold mines moving together like a dark ocean. The full fleet was coming. Hamid gently placed his shawl around her shoulders. You must be tired, my child, he said softly. Come inside. You need rest. She looked at the villagers. She felt their gratitude, their relief, their hope, but under it all, there was deep fear. They didn't know what was coming. Back inside the small house, Hamid gave her a glass of warm milk. She had tasted human food before, but now the simple sweetness felt different. It felt like belonging. She sat on the floor beside the fire, watching the flames dance, trying to push away the terrible images in her mind. Then she felt it again, a sharp, burning pain, closer this time. She gasped and clutched her chest. Hamid rushed to her side. "What is it? Where does it hurt?" Instead of pointing, she looked far beyond the walls of the house. "It's not me," she whispered. "It's them." Hamid followed her to the doorway. On the distant road, near the edge of the forest, a dark figure staggered forward, then collapsed. "Someone's out there," Hamid said, grabbing his walking stick again. They rushed toward the fallen body. As they got closer, the tiny alien girl felt a strange, familiar energy mixed with sharp human pain. It was a young woman, badly wounded, wearing dark clothes and carrying strange equipment. Blood covered her side, but her mind was different. Trained, focused, alert. A soldier Hamid knelt beside her. "Can you hear me?" he asked. The woman opened her eyes with great effort. She stared at the tiny glowing girl in shock. "It's true," she whispered. The reports were true. Hamid frowned. "What reports? Who are you?" "My name is Captain Isha Khan," she replied weakly. "I was sent here because our satellites detected an unknown energy burst. Something not from this world." Her eyes locked on the tiny alien. They were right. It really is her. The alien girl stepped closer and placed her hand gently above the woman's wound. Her warm blue light flowed once more, sealing the torn flesh and calming the torn nerves. I sat up slowly, staring at her own healed body. "How did she can feel pain," Hamid said in awe. "And somehow, she can take it away." Aisha slowly got to her feet. Her expression changed from fear to deep respect. "If they have found her," she said in a low voice, looking up at the sky, "then Earth is in more danger than anyone here can imagine." "What do you mean?" Hamid asked. Aisha opened her device, projecting a blue hologram into the air. It showed a view of space, filled with massive dark shapes moving together, an entire alien armada. "Those ships are heading straight for Earth," she said. "Not one, not two, but an army that could end our planet in a day." The villagers gathered around, looking at the terrifying image, shock, tears, fear. But the tiny alien girl looked at the scene in complete silence. She felt every person's terror again. She felt Hamid's worry, the soldiers' determination, the children's panic, and deep inside her, something new was forming. A plan. "They're coming for me," she said quietly. "So I will go to them." Everyone shouted at once. "No, you're just a child. They'll kill you." Aisha stepped forward. "You don't understand," she said. "They want your power. They will use you or destroy you." "Then I won't let them," the child replied simply. Hamid dropped to his knees in front of her. "I already lost my family once," he said with a broken voice. "I cannot lose you too." She placed her small hand on his cheek. "You didn't find me, Hamid," she said softly. "Earth did." Tears filled his eyes as he pulled her into a tight embrace. At that moment, the sky above them flashed bright red. A warning signal. Dozens of burning lights appeared in the atmosphere like falling meteors. Alien ships were breaking through the edge of Earth's sky. Entering the planet's space, sonic booms shook the ground. The invasion had begun. The tiny alien girl stepped forward into the open field. Her body began to glow brighter and brighter, until she looked like a star standing on Earth. Aisha stared in disbelief. "She's not just an alien," she whispered. "She's becoming a guardian." High above, the lead ship of the fleet opened, revealing a dark figure looking down at her. The commander himself. His voice echoed through the air, deep and terrifying. "Return to us, empath, or watch your world burn." The tiny alien girl slowly lifted her head. And for the first time, she did not answer with fear. She answered with power. The sky above the village split open like a wound. Huge alien ships floated in the clouds, dark and silent, blocking the sun. Shadows covered the ground. The air grew cold. People felt as if the world itself had stopped breathing. Wind howled around the tiny alien girl as her light burned brighter and brighter. She stood alone in the open field, her small body glowing like a living star against the darkness in the sky. Above her, inside the largest ship, the commander stared down with burning eyes. "Return to us, empath, or your world will suffer." His voice thundered across the land like a storm. Villagers cried and held each other. Some prayed. Others demanded answers from the sky. But the tiny alien girl did nothing but close her eyes. Inside her mind, the world became silent again. She felt every person on Earth in that moment. The lonely people in big cities, the children in hospitals, the soldiers standing guard, the mothers cooking dinner, the fathers working late, the broken hearts, the hidden dreams, all of their pain, and also all of their love. She understood something very important then. Humans were not weak. They were wounded, but strong, and she was no longer alone. When she opened her eyes again, they glowed brighter than ever, filled with a new, powerful calm. "I will not return," she said quietly. Yet her voice echoed across the entire sky. The commander's eyes widened slightly. "You belong to us," he replied coldly. "You were created as a tool. You are an empath unit, not a hero." "I chose to be more," she whispered. Slowly, she rose into the air, surrounded by a sphere of light. Dust and small stones floated from the ground, pulled upward by her energy. Electrical sparks moved across the air around her. "The girl is ascending without assistance," one of the alien beings shouted. "She is no longer just an empath. She is transforming into a guardian form." The commander's hand tightened into a fist. Attack. Suddenly, beams of red energy shot down from multiple alien ships, aimed directly at her glowing body. The villagers screamed. Hamid watched with helpless tears streaming down his face. "Please, please, survive, my child." But something incredible happened. Instead of hurting her, the beams slowed, melted, and completely vanished into her shining aura. Her light grew stronger. The energy of the alien weapons was being absorbed. She was learning. The commander's voice finally showed anger. "This is impossible." Below, Captain Aisha stepped forward, her eyes wide. "She's not just absorbing energy, she's converting it." The tiny alien girl lifted both hands. A shockwave of pure light spread outward in every direction, hitting the alien ships like an invisible wall. Several of them lost control, spinning back into the clouds. But inside her, something was breaking. To power like this came with a price. She felt pain inside her head, sharp like burning glass. Her vision blurred. Her body trembled. She was still small, still not fully formed. And the commander knew it. He pressed a symbol on his arm. "Release the hunters." From below the main ship, dozens of black figures dropped through the air. They were not inside machines. They were living weapons, tall, fast, and wrapped in dark armor. They landed on the ground around the field, circling her. "Capture her alive," the commander ordered. At any cost, they rushed forward. Hamid stepped in front of her, raising his arms. "No, stop. She is just a child." One hunter swung its arm, knocking him aside like nothing. Hammed! The girl screamed. Pain exploded in her chest again. His pain, his fear, his aging, tired body crashing into the dirt. That moment changed everything. The tiny alien's light turned. Bright white dot, time slowed, dot air froze. When she spoke, the entire world listened. You will not touch him. A wave of pure force blasted outward from her, throwing the hunters back as if they were made of dust. The ground cracked. The sky roared. Every alien ship above flickered. The commander grabbed his seat as his control panel exploded with sparks. Her power is now at elder level. No, beyond elder level. Another alien yelled down below. Hamid struggled to sit up. He looked at her, floating above the battlefield like an angel made of stars. You are my family now, he whispered. She looked down at him, her expression soft even in the middle of war. And you are mine, she answered, but the strain was too much. Her glow suddenly weakened. Her body dropped slowly back toward the earth. Her small knees touched the ground. Her light flickered. She was running out of strength, and the commander saw that opening. Now he hissed. Launch the core weapon. Inside the largest ship, a massive cannon charged with dark energy, power stolen from destroyed worlds, pointed directly at the planet Datatur. If it fired, the entire region would be erased. Everyone stared in horror as the weapon began to glow deep blood red. Aish shouted, "There's no time. That blast will destroy miles of land." The tiny alien girl looked up one last time at the sky, then back at the people, back at Hamid, back at Earth. She smiled softly. If this is the price, I am ready. Her body began to rise again, going straight toward the massive beam forming in the sky. She's flying into it. Someone screamed. Hamid reached out with trembling hands. Nitrogen monoxide. But she was already climbing toward the heart of the weapon, a tiny figure moving to stop something, meant to destroy a world. And as the commander gave the final command to fire, the sky exploded into blinding light. A blinding white explosion spread across the sky. Brighter than the sun, brighter than fire, brighter than anything the villagers had ever seen. People covered their eyes. The earth shook like it was being torn apart. Some fell to the ground, certain it was the end, inside the alien command ship. Alarms screamed in a terrifying chorus. Weapon disruption. Energy overload. Systems failing. The commander struggled to stand as the walls around him cracked and sparks flew through the air. What is happening? He roared, on the massive screen in front of him. The image of the tiny alien girl could still be seen floating right in the center of the dark red beam. But instead of being destroyed, she was changing it. Her small hands were raised toward the weapon. The dark energy pouring from the cannon twisted around her, fighting her light, trying to consume her. But she did not move. She did not scream. She absorbed the pain of the weapon. She felt the suffering of worlds it had destroyed, civilizations it had erased, children it had taken, planets it had burned. All that pain flowed into her tiny body, and still, she held on down on Earth. Hamid shielded his face with his arm as the shockwave passed over him. When the light began to fade, he slowly looked up into the sky. He expected to see fire. He expected to see darkness. Instead, he saw something impossible. The tiny alien girl was still there, but she was no longer just a glowing child. She was wrapped in wings made of pure energy, wide and beautiful, spreading across the clouds like the arms of the universe itself. Her body looked like it was formed from starlight. Colors that had no names flowed around her. She did not belong to just one world anymore. She looked like a living guardian. The alien fleet began to fall back in fear. Some ships turned and fled, colliding into each other in panic. Others shut down, their systems dead. The commander stared at her, silent now. His fear was real. "You were not meant to evolve," he whispered. "Empaths are not meant to become guardians." She looked at him, and for the first time, instead of anger or fear, she felt something else. Pity, double quotes. "You chose power over life," she said calmly, her voice echoing like 1,000 soft bells through space. "You fed on pain, but I was born to feel it and end it." She turned her face toward Earth. She felt the villagers watching. The children's hope, the wounded hearts. Hamid's love for her, Isu's faith. The world holding its breath, her wings of light unfolded, even wider, and she released all the pain she had ever absorbed. Not as destruction, but as healing. A wave of warm, golden blue light spread across the planet. It moved through forests, over oceans, through cities and villages. Sick animals felt strength return. Wounded people felt relief. Broken machines restarted. Dark clouds drifted away. People everywhere lifted their heads, confused and amazed. What just happened? A child asked in a faraway city. "It's warm," a mother whispered. "It feels like hope." Down in the village, dusty houses glowed softly. Dead plants stood tall again. The river sparkled brighter than ever. Even the air felt clean, alive, new. Hamid dropped to his knees, tears falling from his eyes as he watched her in the sky. "You did this," he said in disbelief. "You healed more than just this land." Captain Aisha removed her helmet slowly, staring at the miracle. "She didn't just defend Earth," she whispered. "She changed it." In space, the remaining alien ships tried to escape her light, but the glow surrounded them. One by one, their weapons melted away. Their dark systems shut down. The hunters, once so deadly, collapsed as their control links were broken. But the commander was still there, trapped inside his damaged vessel. "You will be worshipped as a god now," he hissed. "You will stand alone when your power fades." The tiny alien girl slowly floated closer to his ship. "I do not want to be a god," she replied gently. "I only wanted the pain to stop." She placed one tiny glowing hand on the surface of his ship. Her light spread through the metal. The dark, frightening vessel transformed. Spikes smoothed, shadows vanished. Its surface turned silver and calm. The commander fell to his knees. "I can feel it," he whispered, horrified. "I can feel the pain I caused." She nodded slowly. "That is my gift," she said, "and my curse." With one final look at Earth, she turned all the remaining alien technology into harmless light, dissolving it into the stars. The invasion was over. Silence filled the skies. Again, her wings slowly faded. Her glowing body grew smaller and smaller. As she floated back down toward the ground, Hamid ran forward, arms open, heart racing. She landed in his arms, tiny once more, weak and shaking. But alive, she's still here. Someone cried, "You came back to me," Hamid whispered. Holding her close, she opened her tired eyes and smiled faintly. "I felt your heart calling me," she said softly. "So I followed it home, but high above, far beyond normal sight. Something even older than the commander had awakened. A force that had felt her power. And now, it was curious. The stars formed a strange new pattern in the sky. A symbol, a warning. The universe itself had noticed the tiny alien girl. The village was quiet again. Not the heavy, fearful quiet of before, but a strange, gentle silence. Like the world was listening to its own heartbeat for the first time in a very long while. The tiny alien girl lay in Hamid's arms. Her glowing patterns had faded, her wings gone. She looked like an ordinary child now, small, weak, peaceful. Only her eyes still held that deep, ancient light. "She's burning up," Aisha said, placing her hand gently on the girl's forehead. "Her body temperature is rising." Hamid's heart began to race. "Is she dying?" he asked in a trembling voice. "I don't know," Aisha replied honestly. But whatever she became up there in the sky, no living body was meant to hold that much power. Just then, the tiny alien girl opened her eyes. "I am not dying," she whispered. Her voice was much softer now, almost like a breeze passing through leaves. "I am changing again." Kia knelt closer. "Into what?" she asked. The little girl looked beyond the trees, beyond the clouds, beyond the sky itself. "Something is watching," she said quietly. "Something older than my people, older than your Earth." The stars above slowly began to move in an unnatural pattern. They formed perfect lines, perfect shapes. The villagers didn't understand it, but Aisha did. "It's a message," she whispered. "A code. In light." Suddenly, a single beam descended from the sky. Not dark like the alien weapons before, not violent or loud. It was soft, white, calm. It touched the ground a short distance away, forming the shape of a tall figure made of pure light. The villagers stepped back in fear, but the tiny alien girl sat up and looked at it peacefully. "I knew you would come," she said. Hamid stared. "You know this being." "It is not of my planet," she said softly. "It is not even of this galaxy." The light being spoke without sound, without words, directly into every mind present. "You are a child born of suffering, and now of hope. You have done what even ancient guardians could not. You have changed the balance." Aisha grabbed Hamid's arm in confusion. "What is it saying?" Hamid whispered. "She's hearing it in her mind," Aisha answered. "And somehow—" "So am I," the silent figure continued. "But power like yours leaves an echo through the universe. And there are those who do not seek peace, but control." The tiny alien's eyes darkened slightly. "I felt them," she said. "A deeper mind, colder than the commander." The light being's form shifted, showing strange images in the air, planets in chains. Entire civilizations controlled like dolls, powered by a massive, unseen intelligence, the Devourer, a consciousness that traveled across galaxies, searching for rare energy beings like her, feeding on them. "You mean?" "There is something worse still coming," Aisha asked, her voice shaking. The light being answered in their minds. It is already aware of her existence. Above, a star flickered and went completely dark, far, far away. Something had just turned its attention toward Earth. The tiny alien girl slowly stood up on her small feet. Though she was still weak, "Then I cannot stay here anymore," she said. Hamid's eyes filled with instant panic. "What do you mean?" "You are safe here. This is your home now." "But home is what they will follow," she replied gently. "And if they follow me, they will destroy it." She walked a few steps toward the open field, looking up at the sky. "If the Devourer comes to Earth," she swallowed, "no shield I make will be enough." Aisha stepped closer. "So what will you do?" she asked. The girl turned back to them. Her tiny face looked both terrified and brave. "I must become invisible to the universe," she said. "I must disappear from time." Hamid rushed toward her. "You can't just vanish. You already gave enough. You saved everyone." She placed her small, glowing hand on his chest. "You gave me something greater than power," she whispered. "You gave me a heart." Tears rolled down his face as he held her tight. "You are already my daughter," he said. "Even if the whole universe forgets you, I never will." The light being stepped closer, its form bending toward the child. There is another path. It spoke in their thoughts. But it requires a terrible sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? Aisha asked. She must give up what makes her different. She must give up the power to feel the universe. Silence fell. The tiny alien looked down at her hand. The ability to feel pain, to feel hope, to feel love. It was not just her power. It was her identity. If I give it up, she whispered, then I will become like everyone else. Blind to the suffering I was meant to heal. Hamid held her gently. That might be a blessing, he whispered, to live like a normal child. She smiled softly at his words. Then maybe. I can finally learn what it feels like to only be human. Slowly, she turned toward the light.